What's the most confusing tip you've ever gotten? I once got paid $20 to watch a guy sabotage his own date. I just didn't realize that's what I was being paid for. It was halftime during the homecoming game, and I was stuck working the concession stand for NHS volunteer hours. Nolan Mendez came up to the window, and I remember thinking it was weird he was alone. I'd known Nolan since middle school. Solid guy, captain of the soccer team, always pretty chill. When he handed me two 20s for a $12 order, I started to say he gave me too much. Keep the change, he cut me off, leaning in. Hey, I got a date coming in a few minutes. Just play along, all right? I pocketed the money, confused. Yeah, sure. Play along with what? I figured he wanted me to hype him up or something. Then Sophie Park showed up, and my confusion turned to disappointment. Alex. His best friend Alex had been in love with Sophie for 2 years. Everyone knew it. Alex was shy, never made a move, but you could see it in the way he looked at her in the hallways. And Nolan knew it too. Sophie walked up looking great, smiling bright. They hugged. Nolan caught my expression when I handed over their food. I know what you're thinking, he said under his breath while Sophie wasn't listening. But she asked me out. What was I supposed to do? Say no, I thought, but I just shrugged. Your business. She only asked me because Alex never did, Nolan added quietly. She's been dropping hints for months. They headed to the bleachers where I had a clear view from my window. I figured the $20 was guilt money for being the world's worst best friend. Until about 10 minutes later, Nolan came back and whistled at me, sharp and loud like calling a dog. Yo, 2 more Cokes and some nachos. I looked up, annoyed. Dude, you don't need to whistle. Just come to the window. He barely looked at me. Yeah, man. Just hurry up. We're starving out here. This wasn't the Nolan I knew. I thought, so this is who he really is? Steals his best friend's girl and treats people like trash? 20 minutes later, I saw him arguing with Sophie on the bleachers. His voice was loud enough that people were turning to stare. She looked like she was trying to calm him down, but he just waved her off and walked away to talk to some guys from the team, laughing like nothing happened. I felt bad for Sophie just sitting there. Then Nolan came back to my window, talking way too loud on his phone while cutting in front of people in line. Bro, you got any pizza left? He was FaceTiming someone. Yeah, man, I'm at the game with this girl. Nah, she's whatever. I could see Sophie on the bleachers. She was definitely close enough to hear. Her face fell. That's pretty rude, man, I said, unable to hold back. He shrugged. What? I'm just being honest. Then back to his phone. Yo, check out this concession stand worker getting all sensitive. I wanted to jump over the counter. Nolan grabbed his pizza and walked past Mr. Harrison, one of the math teachers who uses a wheelchair. Nolan made some loud comment mocking the way he rolled past, and a few people nearby went silent. Even his buddies looked uncomfortable. Someone in line whispered, Alex would never act like that. Exactly what I was thinking. Then Nolan just left. Didn't say goodbye to Sophie, didn't even look back. Just walked to the parking lot like she didn't exist. She sat there alone for a few minutes, then pulled out her phone. I felt awful for her, and for Alex, who'd probably blame himself for not asking her out sooner. Then something incredible happened. About 5 minutes later, Alex showed up at the bleachers. I recognized him from English class and immediately thought, finally, someone decent. He sat next to Sophie, looking genuinely worried. She wiped her eyes and he put his hand on her shoulder. They talked for a minute, and I found myself hoping he'd save her from this disaster. Nolan didn't deserve her anyway. They stood up and walked past the concession stand together. I heard Alex say, the dance just started. Wanna go together? Sophie smiled. Her first real one all night. You'd really do that? Of course. I should have asked you to homecoming weeks ago anyway. I remember thinking, finally, this guy actually gives a damn. Screw Nolan for wasting her time. After the game, while closing up, Nolan came back. He looked completely different now. Calm, polite, normal volume. The Nolan I'd always known. He waved me over and immediately apologized for the whistling and being rude. Then he said something that made my brain stop working. The whole thing was an act. I stared at him. Wait, what? He pulled out another 20 and explained. Alex had been in love with Sophie for 2 years, but was too scared to make a move. When she asked Nolan to homecoming instead, he came up with a plan. He'd act like the worst date ever, call Alex to come save her, and hand his best friend the opportunity he'd been too afraid to take himself. Alex had no idea. He just thought he was checking on a friend. I sat there as my entire perception rearranged itself. So when you said play along, I started. Nolan nodded. I needed your reactions to be real. I'd rather everyone think I'm trash than watch my best friend lose his chance. He looked me straight in the eye. That's what best friends do. I found out later he'd told them both the truth after the dance. Sophie laughed so hard she cried, and Alex couldn't stop thanking him. In that moment, I realized I'd just witnessed the greatest wingman move of all time.